मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace.
This song is written by Rabindranath Tagore in essence of divine life. I made you Dhruvatara, the North Star of my life. In this ocean of life, I won't be lost anymore. No matter where I go, you remain lighted in my heart. You pour light in the teardrops. Your face always stays awake in my mind. If my mind ever wanders to the wrong path, immediately your face puts me to shame. You are the North Star, Dhruvatara of my life. This song was very favorite of Swami Vivekananda.
From I'm reading from the book Student's Treasure by Swami Kripamayananda. This is letter to a student. Question: how can concentration be cultivated? Answer: students as well as spiritual aspirants keep on asking this question. Eka is one, agra is tip. Hence, ekagrata or concentration implies being one-pointed, putting all resources together in one place. Concentration of the mind is bringing all the scattered mental forces together and channelizing the attention towards one object or aim. If you ask whether our mind is not in a concentrated condition as it is, the answer will have to be no, because mind by nature is restless. Added to this, the five senses, ears, eyes, nose, tongue and skin, constantly draw the mind's attention towards themselves. Since their pull is very strong, the mind ceaselessly flows towards the senses. Apart from this, the mind has its own desires, whims and fancies. These are capable of drawing the mind too. The senses cooperate with desires and make a fool of the mind until it becomes as distracted as a restless monkey. Can we expect such a mind to be concentrated? How can then the mind be held in equilibrium? How can the mind's energy getting dissipated in all directions be made to flow in one direction? The solution is to discipline it. Then how can it be disciplined? This is the second question. The mind should be advised to occupy itself from one object at a given time. O mind, now I have to read and understand this lesson. So kindly do not disturb yourself with other thoughts, but keep me or help me in assimilating this. If, however, the mind does not pay heed to these soft words, you will have to be harsh and tell it sharply, O mind, you are my servant. You must listen to what I say. With all this, it is very important to lead a disciplined life. What is meant by a disciplined life? It means doing all work that is required to be done from morning till nightfall in an orderly and well-organized way. Also, bad thoughts should not be entertained. One must not indulge in idle talk or useless activities. With all these precautions, certain mistakes may occur. The mind should be admonished and advised not to repeat the mistakes. If the blunders occur again, the mind should be tutored again. Struggling thus, our actions will have to be systemized. When a daily routine becomes established, the mind will retain its poise to a large extent. If such a mind will be obedient and cooperative. As already mentioned, the senses are capable of distracting the mind in every way. So they too have to be watched. Their demands have neither rhyme nor reason. Being attached to them, if we let them have their way, the mind which constantly stays with them will be once again drawn out and thrown out of equilibrium. Those who wish to control their minds should never foolishly pamper the sense organs. With the changing times perhaps being influenced by the Western civilization, students are increasingly letting their senses run wild. If not in the prime of youth, should life be enjoyed in old age, when one is more dead than alive? This is the seemingly logical argument of the youngsters. While they assert this smilingly, not many elders venture to impart wisdom and correct them. Hearing the multitude of youths forcefully declaring thus, perhaps even the elders have come to believe their assertions to be true. Although the elders may remain indifferent, the evil outcome will not remain ineffective. If the body, mind and senses are used whimsically without understanding their nature and workings, fearful effects will result which will destroy our peace, prosperity and contentment and reduce us to a pitiable condition. Then nothing will be in our hands. The conclusion is this: uncontrolled sense organs can destroy the concentration of the mind. The earlier this bitter truth is understood, the better. Yes.
Now a short period of meditation. Shanti, Shanti. Good morning. Today's topic is Brahmacharya. It is a Sanskrit word. Brahman we all know. The Charya is like being in Brahman, dwelling in Brahman. That is the real word of Brahmacharya. So always being in awareness of the Brahman. And what is Brahman? Brahman is our own true self. So always being aware of our true self as Brahman. And what is really Brahman means? The very meaning of the word Brahman is vast. That is the meaning of Brahman. So as they say in Judaism, there is no name of God. In Hinduism also it is the same. There is no name. Vastness is not the name of any being. It's just the vast. It's just infinite. And what are its characteristics of Brahman then? It is the ultimate reality and also present reality, if we are in that reality. It is beyond time, space and causation. So it is not bound by time. So it's beyond time. And it is never caused, beyond causation. And it is not confined to any particular space. It is infinite. And what are its other characteristics? It is the nearest thing to say about its characteristics is it is Satchidananda. Sat is a being, is some positive, some real entity. And Chit is consciousness, knowledge, it is awareness. There is, it's not death and something which you cannot understand or recognize. It's consciousness, living. In the sense we say about the consciousness, living will be very small definition for Brahman. It's pure consciousness. It's not like that consciousness that manifests through body or through something. It is the pure consciousness. And what about other characteristics that can be expressed? It is bliss. It is joy, pure joy, and expressed as love. So these are the characteristics of Brahman, which is the ultimate reality, which is our reality, which we are. Now this Brahmacharya literally means to be in our awareness of that Brahman, to know ourselves as that we are beyond time, space and causation. So we are not bound by time, not that we are born one day and we die one day. We are eternal. Time while we are eternal. When we can feel that way, then we are in Brahmacharya, practicing Brahmacharya, dwelling in Brahman. Another is when we feel that we are always joyful, that nothing external can make me sorrowful, sad, miserable, then I am practicing Brahmacharya. And other is I am always aware. I am aware, full of knowledge. It's nothing that I don't know. So that type of, I am pure consciousness. So that type of awareness is called Brahmacharya. Now what is this dwelling in something? This Brahman is not something that it's not a person, and it's not even a state, or it's not a situation, or it's not something we attain. We don't attain Brahman. We don't reach a place called Brahman. We don't meet a person called Brahman. So what then we do? Why do we practice spirituality? What do we want to attain then by practicing spirituality, by practicing Brahmacharya? We want to understand what we truly are. What we are, we become. Not that we become something else. When we become a Brahmagyani, knower of Brahman or Atmagyani, it's not that we get something new knowledge. It's not that we gain something new status. When Gautama became Buddha, what he did was he all repaired, demolished wrong idea about the self. And what he was truly, that was revealed to him. So that is called Brahmagyana or Nirvana. All these wrong ideas about oneself and about the reality, that is all blown out. That's called Nirvana. And Brahmagyana is knowledge of reality. That was always with me. That is always with that. Thus the ignorance was removed. Sun is always there, cloud is removed. And that is called Brahmagyana. Nothing gaining something new knowledge. Nothing attaining some other state. Nothing meeting some other great dwelling. In the scriptures there is always expression for to when you have illumination, what happens. They have to express in the word that human mind can understand. That's why they said, Veda ametam purusham mahantam aditya varnam tamasa parastat. Oh, I have found out, I have known, I have understood the great Purusha, Mahan Purusha, and who is like resplendent like sun, beyond all ignorance. It doesn't mean that Brahman is like a sun, nothing like that, but to express the way when you just remove all ignorance about yourself, your idea about yourself as this body-mind complex or ego, everything just vanishes and you are established in the reality. You are established in the Brahman. So that expression is said, oh, I have seen that great being who is resplendent like a sun beyond all ignorance. Aditya varnam tamasa parasta. Tameva viditva ati mrityumeti. By knowing whom one goes beyond death, ati mrityum. Nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other way to go beyond death until we know that resplendent being. So that is all about removing our ignorance. And what happens when we remove our ignorance? The truth that is in us, the Brahman that we are always, that just stands shining. It reveals to us. It just is there. That's what called Brahmacharya. Dwelling in Brahman. Now our identity by mistake, though we are fully Brahman, but somehow that mistake is there and we consider ourselves as human being, not the divine being. When we say divinity is our very soul, his soul is potentially divine, as Swami Vivekananda said, that means we are that Brahman. But where do we understand? If we could understand that, we will be never afraid of anything, not even of death, disease, old age, nothing, job loss, nothing will affect us. Because we know nothing, we are losing, there is nothing we can lose because we are infinite. When we are infinite, what we will lose? Where will it go? We are always total, full, complete. So, that is not there. In our case, we are ignorant of our real nature. So, we are at the human level, we are not at the divine level. So, if we could be there, then in the divine level, and for that is the Brahmacharya is needed. In this human level, what happens, this infinite being thinks himself or herself as first himself or herself. That itself is ignorance. We are neither he nor she. We are it. We are that reality. We think ourselves as the human being. Then when we thought human being comes separate from the infinity, then comes the idea man or woman. Then comes the idea tall or short, fair or dark, intelligent or unintelligent, happy or unhappy, rich or poor. All these ideas add one after another. Educated or uneducated, all these ideas that just added to us, none of these are actually fit us to be, really they should not touch us at all. We should feel we are that reality that is not touched by any upadhis. So we actually downgrade ourselves. That's why beautifully said in Bible, in the Old Testament, how a human being fell from companionship with God. What did the Adam and Eve did? What did they do? They ate the fruit of ignorance. Beautifully, you have to explain the thing. Fruit of ignorance, what does it mean? Ignorance has fruit. Something happened to them that when Adam and Eve felt that they are human beings, from divine awareness there comes a human awareness. Then that is the eating of fruit of ignorance. They forgot their own true nature as Brahman and they become human beings. Then they were thrown away from the heaven. Heaven is the place when everyone knows that I am that supreme being. That's all called heaven. And that is called the awareness of this person came and that becomes eating the fruit of ignorance. That is, ignorance has value. And ultimately, though man is made in the image of God, what does it mean? We stress that. What is image of God? That means man is made as God. That is, man is God. But by eating the fruit of ignorance, it became discarded from heaven and came to this world. So that is just a story to say that what we are that godly persons, divine beings. But this human idea is the ignorance that has come to us. So this body and mind and ego, though these are, as we are in this stage, these are obstacles, no doubt, but they are great instruments also. They are great tools also, so that we can transcend these and we can reach that state of awareness when all these do not matter at all. We can transcend these. So what is the body and mind? What is the relation? In fact, body and mind are very similarities are there. Body and mind both undergo changes. We find differences in the body, of course we know. Mind, body changes slowly, gradually from your baby, then becomes adolescent, then becomes youth and middle age, then old, like that. We find gradual change in body. Mind changes often. For in our child stage, good stage, or in this stage, or in old stage, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes pleasurable, sometimes helpful, like that, sometimes angry. Mind always changes. This change is common in both body and mind. What is other similarity? They both get tired and need rest. Body, of course, gets tired when you work for 8 hours, then you come and need rest. Mind also needs rest. Both can become sick. Body becoming sick, we know. Mind also can become sick. And both need treatment when they fall sick. Mind also needs treatment when they fall sick. And sickness of the mind is when you don't use it properly, don't feed it properly. As body gets sick without being properly maintained with nourishment and proper exercise, mind also similar, if it is not fed and nourished with proper food, that the proper thoughts are given, and it is not made to do proper exercise and prayer and meditation, it may fall sick and become more restless. Both body and mind produce happiness and misery. Body also, when you take a shower, you feel so fresh. So the body itself realizes that freshness is expressed through mind, but is produced by body. Mind, of course, we know how it can produce sorrow and happiness both. Both are made up of matter. Body, of course, we know is made up of matter, but mind also, according to Hindu perspective, it is made up of matter. Body is made up of gross matter, and mind is made up of subtle matter. So, both need nourishment. In one of the Upanishads, it is told, our Rishi told to his student, teacher told to his student, just see the similarity between mind and body, whether mind needs nourishment or not. So he asked student to keep fast, observe fast. So the student was fasting, and after a few days he asked, now can you recite the mantra that I told you a few days ago? Person says, no, I can't recite, really, I don't remember those now. Because he had not been eating food, a part of which the fine part becomes, it nourishes the mind, so that was not given. Even the food also is nourishment to mind, not only thoughts. So that he couldn't recite. So mind is equally matter like a body. So one day the difference between body and mind is, body is gross and can be seen and touched, mind cannot be seen. But mind can be felt. We feel how our mind is. So body and mind both are together. So Brahmacharya in reality means transcending the identity of this body and mind and becoming Atman, we as the true self, as the real self, real I. When I say I am this much tall, I am not describing about myself. I am describing about this body which I am not. This feeling of this deha, this body is myself, is ignorance. And what will be the knowledge which will come through Brahmacharya is that I am that awareness, pure awareness is I am. So that is real Brahmacharya. The power of body and mind to divert us from the consciousness of the Atman is well understood. Every one of us know how these are powerful. The body has its own needs, body and mind have the need for food, and they are affected by hunger and thirst. They need rest, they need work, all our things are there. And like this body and mind are affected by joy and sorrow. So many things are there, demands of body are innumerable. There are so many demands of body and mind. And all these things, they divert our attention from our awareness of our true self. But the most powerful thing that diverts us from this awareness of Atman and brings us to body-mind consciousness is sexual desire. That's often this Brahmacharya is, because that controlling and being dwelling in Brahman is most affected by that thing. So often, sometimes in a narrow sense, it comes that Brahmacharya is celibacy. Celibacy is a part of Brahmacharya. Celibacy is very important aspect to keep ourselves established in Brahman, to remain dwelling in Brahman. Celibacy is very important because sexual desires are often very powerful and they are obstinate and they can divert the needs. Sometimes they transcend all other needs. Therefore, this controlling our sexual desires, sexual abstinence is very important for remaining in spiritual awareness. Otherwise, they just divert us. So celibacy is has to be practiced in, abstinence has to be practiced in all levels. There are 3 levels of practice. One is at the level of thought, and at the level of words, and at the level of actions. So just one level separated from other would not suffice, would not be practical. So all these 3 levels have to be practiced in harmony. Then only the practice can come. For monks and nuns, they take the vows. For them, total celibacy is yet to practice. So they have to practice. For monastic vows in all traditions, Buddhistic or Christian or Hindu tradition, is that you take a vow of chastity and poverty, complete abstinence and living a simple life. In Hindu tradition, the 3 main desires, 3 basic strong desires are supposed to be given up when you take the final vows. What are 3 basic desires? One is lokayashana, desire for name and fame from other persons. You don't want that. You give up that. You don't do anything for your own name and fame. That's called lokayashana. You renounce that. Another is vittayashana. Vitta is the wealth. No desire to accumulate wealth or any other possession. That also you renounce. The third is putreshana, desire for progeny, desire for having offspring. That is also totally given up. But for monks and nuns, it is essential, it is fundamental. So they will practice celibacy, there is no doubt. This is a part of their life. But what about the householders? Should they practice celibacy if they want to be spiritual? Because spirituality is not only for monks and nuns, it's for the whole world, for whole human being. Because that is essential for leading a good, happy, peaceful life here and also become a fulfilled human life. So, is celibacy important for householders, or how much is it important? So, what the scriptures say about that? Married life is also a life, a wonderful institution on which all other 3 stages of life depend. The life of students, it's called life of brahmacharis, life of vanaprasthis or recluses, and life of sannyasis or vanaprasthis retired, life of sannyasis or the monastic persons. All they depend on institution of householders. So it is very important position in our social system. So that institution cannot be let go for no restraint. That life, there should be no restraint practiced anywhere in that life. That cannot be. It is a very controlled, restrained life. If you lead that, then only you can fulfill the status in your life of a householder. So celibacy is important for anyone, even a householder, if they want to practice spirituality, if they want to have a meaningful, happy, fulfilled life. That's what it is. All the Shastras talk about that. In Yoga Sutras, even the first that Yama, when they describe the Yama, it is said, Yama Niyama, from that it starts. The Yama contains Brahmacharya, the 5 things. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha. These are the 5 things one should practice if you want to be united with the reality, if you want to understand the reality, if you want to know who you truly are. So first step that it says talks about the Brahmacharya, the 4th point in Yama, control. This you do, this you have to control like that. So in Gita also Brahmacharya is considered to be highest physical activity, the physical austerity. There it is said about the 3 kinds of austerity, physical, verbal and mental. In the physical austerity, Deva Dvija Guru Pragya Pujanam. You adore and admire God, the learned person and a wise person, and Deva Dvija Guru and teacher. You respect them. That is one of the austerities should be done physically. That's what said, physically you do that. Deva Dvija Guru Pragya Pujanam. Shaucham. Purity, maintain the purity of body. It's only about the body concern. That is the austerity, that is tapasya. Deva Dvija Guru Pragya Pujanam Shaucham Arjavam. Be simple. Try to be simple. And lead your healthy life. Then comes Brahmacharya. So, Brahmacharya is contained there in the Gita. Many places Gita is said about the Brahmacharya. What does Bhagavata say about Brahmacharya? There is a beautiful book called Bhagavata. It's not Bhagavad Gita. It is written by Maharishi Vyasadeva, and mainly it's famous for the story of Sri Krishna in the 10th canto, but it contains a lot of knowledge that is given. It's a Purana, one of the Puranas, and it has wonderful teachings of Advaita, Dvaita, devotion, everything is there. Wonderful, complete book. They say that after Vyasadeva wrote everything, Mahabharata and all other Puranas are ascribed to Vyasadeva, so he was not fulfilled there, so he composed Bhagavata, his wisdom, Vyasadeva's wisdom. And there it is said, Lord said at one place, what is the duty of householders? It says, Brahmacharyam tapas shaucham santosho bhuta sauhridam grihastasyapi ritau gantu sarvesham mad upasanam. How a householder should live, what are his duties in life? Among the duties of a married person are the practice of Brahmacharya except for the purpose of procreation. That is allowed. That much is allowed. Only for the purpose of procreation, you may not observe Brahmacharya, but for all other purpose, Brahmacharya. So, Tulsidas also said that if you follow three simple things, you will attain God, you will attain spiritual illumination. What are those? Satyavachan, Adhinata, Parastri, Matri, Saman. In तीनों से हरि न मिले तो तुलसी झूठ जवान. What are the three things you should observe to have to reach God, to realize God? Satyavachan. We are always truthful in speaking. Satyavachan. And truthful in every doing. When we do something, other thing, then we express also. Mostly people think that, if we speak truth, then how will you live in the world? But truthful can be observed. And you become very strong. The person who observes truthfulness becomes really a man of character and very strong man. Satyavachan adhinata. That is surrender to God. Always total dependence to God. God is looking after everything. God will be there. He will be protecting you. Full faith in God. Adhinata. Satyavachan adhinata. Parastri matri saman. And every woman should be seen as your own mother. Sri Ramakrishna says, when he talks about the Tantra and all that, the various disciplines in Tantra and all that, he said, for me, all women are just mother. I cannot think of anything other than mother. The second thing Bhagavata says in this verse, first was practice of Brahmacharya, only except for the purpose of procreation. Second is austerity. Austerity is control. Control of our whatever we do, not neglecting and indulging in all activities like the austerity is that. Then the purity of thought and mind. That is also duty of a householder. The fourth is contentment. Being happy with what we have. Always seeking what we do not have. Only see the thing and then, if I could have that, I would be more happy. Whatever I have, I am fine. So it all comes from adhinata. When we are dependent, surrender, totally have full faith in God and His love for me, then I know that whatever is happening to me is all fine, it's all good. If I desire, wish something, it happens or it doesn't happen. Then also to be said, thy will be done. To be able to say that is called contentment. And that is the duty and that's how we should live in life, the householder should live in life. The fifth thing is said, friendliness towards all. Relationship. Otherwise, if our relationship with others are sour or bitter, then this life will not be a happy life. So friendliness, however other person can treat us, we can look upon all other person as our friends. And it can be done. It can be done. When other persons hate us, it is their problem, it's not our problem. But when we start hating others, then it becomes our problem. So friendliness about all, and then mad upasanam. Then being devoted to God. God has to be center of our being. Everything centered in God. Those are the duties of householders prescribed by Bhagavatam. Then, question comes, why should celibacy be practiced? Sri Krishna said, if a man wants to be really happy, he has to control the impulse of lust and anger. Shaknoti haivaya sodum prak sharira vimokshana. Before you give up the body, when you are in the body, when you think you possess the body, during that time, if you can control Kama, Krodha, Budbhavam, Begam, impulse, the force created by lust and anger. If you can control that, then sa yukta sa sukhi nara. That person is happy. Only then we can become happy. We are always changing with the things and we get angry on the things, little things that happen and we can't control our anger, we can't be happy. Happiness goes with serenity, with peace, with control. That answer yukta, that person who can control impulse of lust and anger, that person can be united with God. Sayukta, Sasukhinara. So, celibacy gives the Yoga Shastra say, it gives purify our mind and makes our mind very powerful. And by practicing celibacy in thought, word and speech, without practicing all these three levels, it cannot be practiced. Then mind gets an energy, that human energy that was being invested in sexual energy, that becomes transformed into a special kind of energy called ojas. And this ojas becomes very powerful energy of our mind. And when our mind and brain becomes full of that subtle energy, developed by the transformation of sexual energy, that becomes so powerful and so much impact it has on us and on others. That person who practices celibacy and has the deposition or has the accumulation of ojas, he becomes very powerful person. Swami Vivekananda, when people asked him, Swamiji, when you spoke, how so many people just listen to you like a charm, first charm, as if you are spelling charm on them, and how you feel, and Swamiji said, I felt that whole audience was just moving higher with my just speaking. He could touch the mind and lift the mind of the people in higher state just by talking, make mind of the people pure. So they asked, how could you do that? What was the power behind that? Swamiji didn't say it was the power of God or anything. He said, it is the power of Brahmacharya, power of ojas. That was Swami Vivekananda. What a great personality he was. He all ascribes his power to power of Brahmacharya. He said that never in my mind I ever thought to enjoy the world like that. I was totally ever established in the practice of Brahmacharya. That was Swami Vivekananda. So this ojas creates strong memory, and it creates spiritual intuition. Mind becomes very sharp, as it was being said, ekagra. Mind becomes just one-pointed. The ojas will make mind one-pointed easily. So this is fundamental thing to make our life better and better. There is no doubt in any state of life, in any ashrama of life. And then we will be able to, with this power of ojas, we become able to understand the intricacies of spiritual truths that are explained in the Shastras. So some people understand, some don't understand. What is the difference? It is a difference in the power of our mind. If our mind is more full of ojas, it becomes pure, it can understand. This ojas also gives nourishment and vigor to brain. And brain becomes very strong with the strength of willpower, and also mind becomes serene and calm and composed. So these powers can be to mind, brain and mind can be nourished by the power of Brahmacharya. So how, you see how in the history you find how people all practice Brahmacharya. Sri Ramakrishna, always he saw nothing but mother in every other woman. And he was always established in Brahmacharya. And how he threw himself in the practice of Brahmacharya, we know. When Holy Mother was with him, he said, the purity in my mind is just because of control or it's natural. So he found it was natural to him. Nothing he could think other than, he was so established in Brahmacharya. So much so that Holy Mother, when he asked Holy Mother, what do you want? I am your husband by marriage, and if you want me to behave like another husband to a wife, just tell me. Holy Mother said, and we want to make me a worldly person. So Holy Mother said, why would I like that? I want to support you in your endeavor to be with God. That was Holy Mother's power, a young woman, and that was being established in Brahmacharya. How pure. And Sri Ramakrishna said, I used to pray to Divine Mother to make Holy Mother free from all trace of lust. And she was also equally established in Brahmacharya. Swami Vivekananda established in Brahmacharya, I already told. Swami Shivananda was a married man, and he used to live with his wife. And when he came to Varanagar Math and with Swami Vivekananda, even before that to Sri Ramakrishna, he heard a story that Swami Vivekananda heard the story that Shivananda was married, but he didn't have any desire for enjoyment of his wife. Like no lust at all. They used to share bed, and there was not a trace of lust in both, you can imagine, in his wife and he himself. And Swami Vivekananda was so impressed with the power of purity of his mind, of being established in Brahmacharya, he said, it is not ordinary, you are not ordinary person. You are great person, and gave him the epithet Mahapurush. That's why Swami Shivananda in our tradition is called Mahapurush Maharaj. That was a great thing we find. How we know Mahatma Gandhi understood the importance of celibacy, and how much he practiced for it, and how he attained the perfection in the practice of celibacy, that we all know the story. He was the one, Mahatma Gandhi showed that it can be, even an ordinary person can practice and become perfect in the experiment of Brahmacharya. Now how to practice? What makes us practice Brahmacharya? It's very difficult, it's very powerful impulse. So we need to practice this. So to practice it, one is motivation. Motivation is, why do I want to practice Brahmacharya? So we need to understand the benefits of Brahmacharya. If we practice, how we are going to become more powerful mentally, more greater willpower, and how we are going to be more peaceful. So it is a must. This motivation of it has to come, that way only we can practice Brahmacharya. What is the next thing that we can make us practice Brahmacharya? So Swami Yogananda, or one of his, Sri Ramakrishna, one of his disciples, Swami Yogananda Turiyananda, he came to Sri Ramakrishna and said, Sir, how to control lust? He was a young man. And Sri Ramakrishna said, to Harimari said different. So Swami Yogananda, he said, just repeat the name of God. So Yogananda said, he said such a simple thing. Lust is such a powerful impulse in human being, and he just said, repeat the name of God, just to Harinam, Harinam, and then how can it be controlled? He just said something. It's not real prescription he gave. So, but since he said, let me practice this just to keep his words. So he started repeating the name of God, and to his surprise, he would control the impulses of lust that were coming to him. He might become more powerful, to not to be deviated by any impure thoughts, just by repeating the name of God. So love of God, always this is love of God is the positive, and motivation, control, check is the negative aspect. Both have to be used. You should check because of being the more motivated that this will bring this thing, and the positive is more you go towards east, the west remains behind. The third thing is discrimination. Sri Ramakrishna says, what is there in lust? So it can be easily controlled. It's not real thing that gives joy to human beings. So more it is controlled, there's more joy. Like that discrimination, and Sri Ramakrishna always says, what is there in the body is just entrails. Like Shankaracharya also said, the body is, if you see just this, the entrails, bone, blood, flesh, and this all fat, and all this dirty thing just covered by skin, and you say beautiful body. It's just bad things that are there. So like that discrimination, whenever you feel weak, and try to bring back to yourself. That's called discrimination. And of course, self-control, always in the self-control. So Brahmacharya is not only the control of the sexual impulse, but control of all other impulses. Like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to take sannyasa, his teacher who would give sannyasa, he said, "You are so handsome, so youthful, how will you keep the house of sannyasa? How much control you have? It's very difficult to have your body, says you are very gorgeous, marvelous. So how will you keep? If the sannyasa means you have to give up everything, all sense of enjoyment. How could you do?" He said, "You can taste it." Or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. So what he said, what he did, he brought some sugar powder, powdered sugar, and put on the tongue of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then the teacher blew it away. And all that sugar was totally blown as if blown from a table. Nothing was there sticking to the tongue. His salivary gland secretion was also could be controlled by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When one person has so much control on the salivary gland, on the palate, so that person can have control on all other impulses. It's very easy. Bhagavata itself it says, "Jitam jite rasam sarvam jite." When one can control the palate, then you should understand that person can control everything. This palate, the desire for having nice taste, this is very difficult to control. They say it is one of the most difficult things to control. If you can control that thing, then you can control all other impulses. So self-control is very important, and also to have a creative mind, useful, busy mind. Always keep your mind busy in the things of creativity, in the work of God, in the prayer. Those all help us to move to God. And what the Brahmacharya means? Brahmacharya means, in fact, moving from human awareness to divine awareness, from Dehatma Buddhi to Brahmatma Buddhi. When we feel ourselves that we are not the body, and then we move, we go towards our real, true nature. That is the real meaning of Brahmacharya. And with the prayer, and when we feel weak sometimes, then another tool is prayer to God. God, give me strength. And they say, walk something, do something, divert your mind, and to pray to God. And then the power comes. Slowly, when you start conquering once or twice, then it comes, you can conquer. You know the story of Buddha. When Buddha was meditating and he was close to getting nirvana, then disturbances started coming. Then Mara, who is supposed to disturb a person from good things, he started putting his force there. Mara always put his force on us, but he started putting more force on Buddha. And how the force is put? The one force is first the greed, first the fear. So storm, this, that, get up from the seat. Then greed, wealth, this, that. And finally the lust, the dancing and all that. Buddha conquered all that. So like that is the final thing that has to be conquered. You know the story of Narada is a little over. Narada was a Devarshi, great sage. So he was roaming in the world, in all three worlds he roams, it's there. So when he was roaming in earth somewhere, he found beautiful spot with Himalaya, river flowing, beautiful, nice scenery. He felt not roaming there, he sat down. And sat down, he felt like meditating and started meditating. He became deep meditation, he was a pure soul person. Then there is a story that Indra, when people are deep in meditation, Indra, the king of gods, who controls everything in this world, whole universe, the physical things, and he became alert. Because whoever gets the merit of good meditation, he occupies the seat. So he becomes a rival and competitor. So he said he has to be removed from this meditation. He's doing very deep meditation. He may occupy my seat. Not that intention. So Indra always has the retinue of these weapons of this, and his strongest weapon is this god of lust, Kamadeva. So he sent Kamadeva, he was assistant, another minister. So go and disturb that person's meditation. So Kamadeva came with all his power of lust and the dancers and all that was the story Puranas say, and wanted to destroy the meditation of Narada. So Narada was not deviated. Then Narada saw, and there was Kamadeva, but he was fixed, firm, absolutely established in Brahmacharya. No change in mind, no trace of lust. Then this Kamadeva, he just fled away. What to do? His power was not working. Then Narada thought, this is something is there. He was so established in Brahmacharya, such a great rishi. Now, to his example to say, after that happened, he thought, oh, once this Kamadeva also came to Shiva to destroy meditation. And Shiva became very annoyed and he opened his eyes and he was so angry with this Kamadeva that this lust, god of lust, became ashes. He was burnt to ashes. But I didn't become angry. I didn't burn him. So, not only that I have controlled lust, I have also controlled anger. This thing came to him. It was fine. It was good. But with this, the third thing came. And that was pride. I am greater. That means I am greater than even Shiva. Shiva became angry and I didn't become angry. So, am I greater than Shiva? So he, after this pride comes, ego comes. From where ego comes? Even to such a great rishi, ego can come. We should be always alert. Small achievements, ego can come. To the big achievement for Narada. And then he where to go. Now nobody was seeing this thing, that he attained this perfection in Brahmacharya, free from lust, and also control over total 100% absolute control over anger. Whom to say? Even straight to Shiva. Nobody was there to appreciate. When this pride comes, now you want to express it, you want to get a clapping, you want to say. So where to say? He went to Shiva and told whole story. And wanted to say that, Lord, perhaps I am greater to you in some respect. Like that, it was the pride came. Shiva heard this, he knew everything, and he said, Narada, it's okay that you did, it's good you did, but you have told me, but no need to tell these things, it's a good achievement and it's a spiritual achievement. So don't tell this to anyone. At least don't tell to Vishnu. Vishnu is the Ishta of Narada. So at least don't tell him this thing. So he was giving good advice to him, because if you start expressing this, more ego and pride comes. So then Narada thought, oh, perhaps Shiva is jealous of me. He doesn't want it to be known by others. So straight from there he went to Vishnu. Lord, I did this, even Shiva didn't do. He wanted recognition that he is perhaps greater than Shiva. So after controlling all that, ego is so important. That's why they say, Morbe sadhu, urbe chai, tobe sadhu gungai. How long we have to be alert about our thoughts? Till we die. They say, when sadhu dies, or it's in fact a tradition was Morbe nari, urbe chai, tobe nari gungai. How much the woman's purity is to be praised. Till woman is dead and her ashes fly in the air, then you really praise the purity of the woman. And that's same for sadhus also, they say. So we need to be everyone, that's just the saying. Every one of us need to be alert all the time, that whether we are being arrogant, whether small success is making us proud. So we should be always, when we are alert in that way, we can easily practice Brahmacharya.